going to do is do a quick overview of what my build currently looks like and where I'm headed with it and what else I need to do. So I'm going to use Path of Building to help me out with that, but a quick start up of what we are doing. So, okay. So, chilling with my character right here. Heading into what I'm currently using for gear. I'm currently using a Cane of Unraveling. Cane of Unraveling gives me power charges, or it gives me power charges, it gives me chaos damage, and gives me +2 to socketed chaos gems. I currently have a 4 link. I need a 5 link. I need to farm some chaos later and buy 2 jewelers touches, so it's about 30 chaos that I'm gonna need so I can get these 2 5 links. Eventually I'll try to get a 6 link, but for now the 5 link will probably have to be what I can work with. Hopefully I can get that before Uber Lab, before I make an attempt on Uber Lab. I've only found 2 trials, so that's not even really going well, but hopefully I can grab that. I've got all my jewels that I'm planning on putting into this build, so I have those ready to go. Currently my current jewel setup for my Dark Pact is Dark Pact, Void Manipulation, Spell Echo, and Added Chaos. Probably flip these actually, it's probably more like that. Dark Pact, Void Manipulation, Added Chaos, Spell Echo, and then my 5 link is going to be Conk Effect. Right now the boss damage is really good, so I'm pretty happy with that. Right now, so Dark Pact, Void Manipulation, and Added Chaos all get the +2 from Cane of Unraveling, so it's really nice. For a 6 link, I'm debating between Arcane Surge and Decay. I'm not really sure which one I would choose, but overall I think Arcane Surge gives you overall better damage, but because you have to have a certain amount of mana to use it to gain the effect, I'm not really sure if that's really the best option. I might run critical damage. I don't know. We're gonna look at some things and figure out what we want to do, but I know the 5 link is definitely gonna be Conk Effect. I know that's a definite. I know that is an absolute definite. As far as my current helmet setup, I'm using Despair, Link with Blasphemy. I have Cast on Damage Taken, and I have Immortal Call. I'm currently using a bone helmet. I've self-crafted this. I don't have multi-craft, and I don't even have exalts anyway, so it doesn't matter. But if I did, I would put something else on here. But right now, I'm currently running the increased minion damage, 37% increased minion damage, strength, armor. The max life roll is really nice, and then I just have some lightning res because I was a little bit low on lightning res when I set this up. Not so much anymore, but I am really overcapped on all of my reses right now, so it's really nice. For my body armor, I'm currently running my Val Summon Skeleton, I should say. I'm currently running minion damage support, minion life support, added chaos damage support. For a 5 link, I'm going to run Withering Touch, and then for a 6 link, I'm going to run Decay. Guarantee I'm going to run Decay on that. But I have to get the colorings for it, but I'm definitely going to run Withering Touch as the 5th link. For my necklace, I'm just running a Side Breath, whatever. I'm running this necklace. It gives me minion damage, cold resistance, mana regeneration, and it gives my reduced mana cost of minion skills, as well as increased minion maximum life, which I need for this build. And then minion movement speed is always nice. It's just extra. As far as my rings, I'm currently running a max life Sorrow Knell on reset ring. Just got max life, fire resistance, and cold res. I would craft something on it, but I don't really have anything I need to craft onto it right now, so it's just not necessary. My other ring is a cold and lightning resistance ring. It gives me plus to all attributes. Evasion is not really useful for the build, but the plus to all res is nice. So it's the life gained on kill is also nice, and then I just rolled maximum life onto it because that's what I needed. As far as my gloves, I'm currently running just Legion gloves. I'm currently got strength, dex on it, and fire resistance. I can probably drop the strength. That's not super necessary, but I do need the dex. And if I can get some better resistances on this, that would be great too. As far as my link setup, I'm running Spell Totem, Wither, Efficacy Support, and Increased Duration on that. That's my current 4 link on that. As far as my belt, I'm running Strength, Armor, Max Life, and then Fire Resistance and Cold Resistances. I don't have anything particular I need to roll onto this. If I get some extra damage, I might put it onto it, but I'm holding out to see if I get anything better than this. But for right now, this is really, really good for flat life and everything like that. And the last thing I'm running is boots. I'm just running samurai boots because it's easy to roll the 4 blues onto this that I need. So I just put them there. But I would eventually like to pick up an armor energy shield pair of boots for this and be able to use that and hopefully get a lot of flat life. Right now it just has fire resistance, lightning resistance onto it, some 77 max life, so it's a nice amount of flat life for me, and then some extra life regen and some mana. As far as my flask, I'm currently using an immunity to bleed flask. I'm using a sulfur flask with just plus the max charges. I'm using a silver flask with immunity to freeze. I'm using a crit flask, a diamond flask, I should say, with increased charges and knockback. And then the last thing I'm using is an immunity to poison. I would re-roll this possibly and look for immunity to shock, but for right now I'm fine with it. Or immunity shock or immunity curses, either of those or work fine with that. But last thing I'm just using immunity poison. So that's it for my gear setup and everything like that as far as that goes. Heading into my skill tree, this is what my current skill tree looks like. This is at level 77. At level 78 and 79, I'm gonna grab this. I'm gonna grab this jewel saga right here for 78, 79 for 80 or 70. Sorry, 78, 79. 80, 81, 82. I'm gonna grab that, and then I'll probably just grab life up to 85. It's probably what I'll look at, and then I'll fill out the rest of my tree. This is what my current skill tree looks like as far as in-game. Talking about my jewels, I'm gonna do that in Path of Building. So let's heading over to Path of Building real quick. Let me open that up real quick. Path. And I can talk about how my skill tree is gonna work overall. So heading into my Path of Building, just gonna alt tab this. I'm going to shut down that, and there we go. Now you can see, so this is my max level build. This will be my level 100 build. I am a Necromancer, and this will be my Witch Necromancer, and is my Dark build. I will leave the link in the description below so you guys can see what I am going to be running overall. As far as my tree, I'll link my paste bin and everything so you guys can see it. But this is what my skill tree is going to end up looking like. I have 5 jewel sockets, or 6 jewel sockets I should say, 5 of which are damage, 1 of which is just utility. It's actually, wouldn't say it's fully necessary. The utility one, you could always drop it and pick up another damage one, but I prefer the utility of it, so I'll talk about that in a second. I currently have this set up for 3 current skill trees. So I have my max level skill tree. I have Act 1 through 4. This is what my Act 1 through 4 skill tree currently look like. I picked up 2 jewel sockets, and then I picked up the most important node to my entire tree, which is spiritual aid. That's the most important skill in my entire tree. If you don't take that, then the entire build becomes useless essentially. So it's incredibly important to grab spiritual aid early, and then I just grabbed some life and some other stuff to help kind of ease out the leveling process. As I hit level 75, I started branching out and picked up some other stuff, picked up more life, more damage, more jewel sockets, and all of this stuff like that. And then as I hit max level, that's when I'm really going to fill out all of the rest of my life, grab up all the last of my jewel sockets, grab up some extra minion life, some extra minion damage, and then that pretty much closes out the tree. A lot of the notables I really went through are just kind of spell damage. A lot of this build is basically focused on just spell damage, minion damage to scale your chaos damage, and then pretty much the 3 things you're looking for as far as jewels. This is an optimal jewel somewhat. My in-game jewels are a little bit different, but this is an optimal jewel. It would be chaos damage, minion damage, and critical strike multiplier for spells. Which what you can also do, and I do have them in game, but they're a little bit more costly, is chaos damage, minion damage, and then area damage as well. And that'll give you threefold increases damage overall. I do have one of those jewels. I think I have two of those jewels actually in my tree. Um, and that gives me about 30 to 35% increased damage overall from the two of them. Per each, or each of them is 35% increased damage. Because it's just, I have like 10 chaos, 10 area damage, and then 15 minion damage. So all of that is just bonus damage to me because of spiritual aid. Spiritual aid, uh, for you guys of you who don't know, grants you increases and reductions to minion damage also affect you. So anytime I scale any type of minion damage, it also increases me. For this build specifically, area damage and chaos damage buff your damage because you're using Dark Pact, which scales your damage overall and gives you that increases the damage overall. So that's why those three types of things, which you can't get on Cobalt Jewel specifically, really help you scale your damage output. Because I'm not actually taking any, I don't take a single chaos damage node in this entire tree. I am entirely using jewels and minion damage to buffer my damage and scale my chaos damage. And the results are still really, really nice. It's a really nice damage output overall. It's just I don't scale anything as far as, I'm not scaling anything as far as minion damage is concerned. I'm just not. Or as far as chaos damage is concerned, I'm not scaling anything. So the one utility jewel I'm using is the From Dust Cobalt Jewel. This will cost you 1 chaos. It's not exactly necessary. It just lets you summon 5 skeletons instead of 3. So it's nice for utility because it gives you that little bit of extra minions so that you don't have to spam it 3 times. Because essentially in this build you have 9 maximum skeletons that you can summon. So with 2 spams, with this drill, with 2 spams, you'll get out the 9 in 2 casts of it. So you'll have the 9 maximum in 2 casts. Without this jewel, you'll have that 9 maximum in 3 casts. So it just takes a little bit longer for you to get all of your skeletons out. So for me, this jewel just helps me kind of buffer that out and not really have to deal with that. It just makes the smoothness of the build and the ease of getting that defensiveness out, that defensive line out for you, much easier. So again, that's why I said it's a utility, but it's really nice overall. You can always drop it if you don't think you need it, and just run another jewel like this with chaos damage, minion damage, and whatever else you need. As far as my life, I am able to pick up 221% increased life. So all you're really looking for, a lot of your gear is just life. You need a lot of flat life overall to increase your survivability and stuff like that. And then minion life is what you want to scale to be able to increase your Dark Pact damage onto your minions. Because you don't really cast Dark Pact on yourself. You're casting Dark Pact onto your minions and you're using them to clear, as far as everything like that. Heading into my ascendancies, I started out with Commander of Darkness. That was my first ascendancy on my normal lab. The reason you're able to utilize that is because I'm running Period of Elements, and what that does is that allows this increase 30% damage to actually affect me, because you need to run an aura and it doesn't work with Blasphemy, so it has to be like Period of Elements, Haste, something like that to be able to get the maximum benefit from that. I originally started with Haste, but I didn't want to have to use I didn't have to look for that much dexterity in my tree, or that much dexterity on my gear, when I could use it for other things like life and resistances and stuff like that. So instead I just dropped that. I dropped Haste and I picked up Period of Elements. So instead, in total I end up getting like 45 to almost 50% elemental resistances from like my Period of Elements plus Commander of Darkness. That's why I started with this. Plus it's 30% increased damage flat, so it's really nice, and then it's increased cast speed, which is always good for this build. For Cruel Lab, that's when I headed over and picked up Invoker. That gives my skeletons increased maximum life, which increases my damage. It also gives me increased minion damage, which again increases our damage due to spiritual aid. And it also gave my minions some life regeneration. And then the minion damage and minion life on the way increases our damage output overall, and it also increases our minions maximum life, which again increases our damage output. For Merciless Lab, I picked up Bone Sculptor. I'm grabbing skeletons. It gives my skeletons more damage. It allows me to summon that extra skeleton. So that's why that goes from the three that the one that you get at the base, and then the two if you have the three that you'll be able to do if you have this from dust jewel, and then if you don't have the from dust jewel, then this will change from three three skeletons to that's when this will allow you to output three skeletons, and if you do have the from dust school, that's when this allows you to put out five skeletons. Again, I say the from dust gem is kind of utility. However, I definitely recommend using it at least up until you get your merciless lab done. Just so you can make sure that you have at least three skeletons out, because that's when you really have the maximum kind of comfort with your damage output. So up until at least Merciless Lab, I definitely recommend it. I am going to continue utilizing it throughout because I feel like I have enough damage. I think the extra skeletons are just nice and it's easier to cast through. As far as the Uber Lab, whenever I find all my trials, that's when I pick up Puppet Master. It gives my minions increased duration. It also gives me increased damage whenever I use a minion skill, which you're always going to be doing because you'll be summoning minions or casting Dark Pact, and both of those are minion skills. So you'll get the increased and you also get the 12% increased cast speed when you do that. So this is just a huge node per hour damage output overall. And then you also pick up some minion damage, which again boosts your damage thanks to spiritual aid. So overall, it's just the most optimal use of the necromancer tree as far as that is concerned. Heading into my skills, I'm using Blasphemy Despair again, as that just Despair just gives us the chaos damage overall, and allows mobs to take reduced chaos damage or increased chaos damage, I should say. I'm running Period of Elements, so that procs my Commander of Darkness. I'm using Dark Pact. Again, this is what our current setup is our current 6-link is what I'm projecting. So it's Dark Pact, Add Chaos, Conk Effect, Spell Go, Void Manipulation, Arcane Surge. Again, I'm not sure if I'm gonna run Arcane Surge or maybe I'm really not sure. I'm not sure if I want to run that or if I want to run Controlled Destruction. I'm just not sure yet. I might end up dropping Arcane Surge and picking up Controlled Destruction just because it's more reliable. I might end up running I could always end up just doing Efficacy. That's just an easy one. You could end up running Increased Critical Strikes. It's just an easy one. There's a couple things I can do here. I'm not really sure. Arcane Surge to me is just unreliable. I don't think it's really the most optimal. So I feel like it's just not the thing I really need to use. Your mana is going to be fine anyway, so Arcane Surge is not really as necessary. And I feel like Control Destruction just helps you out better. It just gives you better spell damage output. So I just feel like that's probably better. I'll probably end up running that instead of Arcane Surge. So that'll probably be my 6-link right there. As far as my Wither, again, Spell Totem, Wither, Efficacy, Increased Duration, Flame Dash with faster casting, and then I have Mortal Call with cast on damage taken, and then the last thing I have is again my Val Summon Skeletons, which has minion damage, minion life, decay, Withering Touch, and Added Chaos. And that's all my setups. So that's everything I really need to cover with this build. As I level this a little bit higher, I'm gonna probably come back to this and touch on it a little bit and show you guys where I've really filled out to and what it all looks like. I'm gonna add some notes throughout my tree so that you guys can know when you can pick everything up, when you can grab all the skills, when you can grab everything. I'll run through those notes and do stuff like that. Everything's in here as far as what you're looking for, as far as gear and stuff like that. Stats, all those types of things, it's all in here. All the jewel sockets are in here, all the flasks and stuff are in here. Everything like that is in here for this build, and that'll all be in the basement so you can look at that. I do have an Aziri guys for you guys, so I did pull off my first ever Aziri, so I can show you guys that. It was kind of embarrassing, and it was really tough for me as far as understanding mechanics, because I've really honestly never done it before. So but I was able to complete it, so you guys will be able to see that in just a second. I'll show you guys that at the end of the video. But overall everything was fun. So I hope you guys enjoyed this build. Be sure to leave any thoughts or comments on this below. I am going to post this up on the forums, so you guys can go there. And I do have my profile is open on Path of Exile's website, so you guys can go look at that and look at this character. It is Pop and Skelly's fam, so you guys can see what the character is actually called. Again, just heading into my screen, go to my character names. Again, it's Pop and Skelly's fam. That's my name right there, so you guys can see what I'm using and all my items and all that stuff like that. But I'm gonna catch you guys all later. I'm heading out, so it was a good day. Nuie out.
Saturday nights, blueberry cigarillos, swishes make my throat hurt, rolling up.